Abortion. The long, complex story of choice, morality, and reality. Abortion is one of the most debated and emotionally charged issues in human history. To understand it, we need to step back and look at it not just as a political slogan or a religious talking point, but as a phenomenon that has existed as long as humans have been capable of pregnancy. From ancient herbal remedies in Egypt and Greece to the sterile operating rooms of modern hospitals, abortion has always been a part of human society, not as an invention of modern times, but as a constant, driven by the realities of biology, economics, and survival. The core fact: abortion is the termination of a pregnancy before the fetus can survive outside the womb. But what that means, morally, legally, emotionally, is where the debate ignites. The biological reality. Pregnancy isn't simple. A fertilized egg doesn't always become a baby. Between 10 to 20% of known pregnancies end in miscarriage naturally, and the rate is even higher when you count fertilizations that never implant in the uterus. In other words, nature itself ends pregnancies frequently. Viability matters. A fetus cannot survive outside the womb until around 24 weeks of pregnancy with current medical technology. Before this point, it is biologically dependent on the pregnant person's body for oxygen, nutrients, and survival. Women's bodies take the burden. Pregnancy is not a neutral act. It changes a woman's body drastically. From hormonal shifts to organ displacement, from increased blood volume to potential life-threatening complications, the risks are not small. This is why the concept of choice matters, because the pregnant person is the one enduring the biological load. The historical context: abortion is not new. Ancient Egyptians recorded abortion methods in the Ebers Papyrus, 1550 BC. The Greeks and Romans used herbs like silphium. Even in the Middle Ages, women used traditional medicine to end pregnancies. The church wasn't always against it. In early Christian history, abortion was sometimes considered acceptable before quickening, the moment a woman could feel fetal movement, around 16-20 weeks. It wasn't until the 19th and 20th centuries that abortion bans became widespread, often driven more by politics and control over women's bodies than by religion alone. The logical debate. The abortion debate centers around one question: when does life gain moral value? Pro-life arguments say life begins at conception, meaning abortion is killing. Pro-choice arguments emphasize that a woman's autonomy and ability to make decisions about her own body must come first, especially since the fetus cannot survive without her. But here's a logical fact: if we treat every fertilized egg as a full human life, then natural miscarriages mean nature itself kills millions of potential humans every year. If the argument is consistency, then the outrage should be directed at biology itself, not only at women making choices. The social and economic side. Abortion bans don't stop abortions. They only stop safe abortions. The World Health Organization estimates that around 45% of abortions worldwide are unsafe, mostly in countries where access is restricted. This leads to injuries, infertility, and even death. Legal abortion saves lives. In countries with safe legal abortion, maternal death rates drop dramatically. Poverty plays a role. Studies show that people who are denied abortions are more likely to fall into poverty, struggle with health, and raise children in unstable conditions. Abortion access isn't just about choice. It's about survival and equality. The psychological and emotional side. Contrary to myths, most women who have abortions do not regret them. Large-scale studies show that over 95% of women report relief as their dominant feeling even years later. The emotional trauma often comes more from stigma, judgment, and cultural shame than from the procedure itself. The bigger picture. Abortion is not simply a yes or no issue. It is tied to healthcare, doctors versus politicians making decisions, freedom, control over one's own body. Morality, whose values shape laws. Power. Historically, abortion restrictions have been about controlling women and their reproductive roles in society. The bottom line: abortion is as old as humanity, as natural as miscarriage, and as complex as morality itself. The logical truth is that banning abortion does not erase it. It only makes it more dangerous. At its core, the debate is not about life versus death, but about who gets to decide what happens inside a woman's body, herself or society. And that is why abortion will always remain more than a medical procedure. It is a mirror reflecting the values, freedoms, and contradictions of every society that debates it. Abortion, beyond the divide. Abortion is often framed as a battlefield, pro-life versus pro-choice. But that oversimplifies one of the most complex human issues we face. To move beyond shouting matches, we need to look at abortion with honesty, logic, compassion, and a willingness to see what unites us. 1. The shared human truth. Everyone values life. Even those who support abortion rights don't dismiss life. They simply see that protecting the life, dignity, and autonomy of the pregnant person must also matter. No one celebrates abortion itself. What most people celebrate is choice, freedom, and the ability to decide what is right for one's circumstances. Even pro-choice advocates agree that preventing unwanted pregnancies is better than abortion becoming the only option. This is where common ground exists. Everyone wants fewer unwanted pregnancies, fewer medical emergencies, and healthier families. 2. The real causes behind abortions. A unique truth often ignored in the debate is this: abortion isn't just about morality, it's about conditions. The majority of abortions happen because of economic pressure, lack of support, unstable relationships, or health risks. Studies show that improving access to healthcare, contraception, education, and financial support for parents drastically lowers abortion rates. So if both sides want fewer abortions, the solution isn't bans. It's better systems, affordable childcare, comprehensive sex education, universal healthcare, and economic justice. The silence around men's role, a perspective that unites but is rarely spoken about. Abortion is not only a women's issue. Almost every abortion involves a man, yet the burden, physical, emotional, social, falls on the woman. If men carried pregnancies, the laws around abortion would look very different. Honest conversation means bringing men fully into the discussion about responsibility, contraception, and emotional support. This shifts the dialogue from her problem to a shared responsibility. 4. The myth of the enemy. Both sides are often told to fear and hate each other. Pro-lifers are painted as people who don't care about women. Pro-choicers are painted as people who don't care about babies. Neither is fully true. The reality is more human. Both groups care deeply about life, just from different angles. Recognizing that truth is the first step to building bridges. 5. The science that could unite us. New medical technologies like artificial wombs are already being tested. Imagine a future where pregnancies at risk or unwanted could be safely transferred instead of terminated. Advances in contraception and reproductive health could make abortion rarer, not through force, but through freedom and innovation. The debate doesn't have to be endless. Science may provide solutions that honor both life and choice. 6. The bigger picture. Choice is a universal principle. Abortion touches on something deeper than pregnancy. It's about autonomy. Who gets to decide what happens to your body? Who should bear the risk, the sacrifice, and the consequences? This isn't just about women. It's about everyone. From medical freedom to end-of-life care to the right to refuse treatment. The question of bodily autonomy affects us all. Supporting choice in pregnancy reinforces a principle that protects every human being. The path forward. If we strip away politics and dogma, here's where common ground lies. Reduce unwanted pregnancies through education, contraception, healthcare. Support families, so raising a child isn't an economic trap. Respect autonomy, because choice is the foundation of freedom. Seek innovation. Science may reduce the need for abortion altogether. The unifying truth. At its heart, abortion is not just about death or life. It's about how much compassion and freedom we are willing to extend to one another. If we can shift the debate from accusation to understanding, from fear to solutions, then abortion stops being a wall dividing us and becomes a doorway to building a more just, supportive society for everyone. Abortion explained with logic, facts, and examples. What abortion really is. Abortion is the termination of a pregnancy before the fetus can survive outside the womb. It is a medical procedure, sometimes surgical, sometimes done with medication. But unlike most medical issues, abortion isn't just about biology. It's tied to ethics, religion, politics, economics, and personal freedom. 2. Example. Medical emergencies. Imagine a woman who is 12 weeks pregnant and develops severe preeclampsia, a dangerous condition where blood pressure spikes and organs begin to fail. If she doesn't terminate the pregnancy, both she and the fetus could die. Logic. The fetus at 12 weeks is not viable outside the womb. The only way to save at least one life is abortion. Fact. According to the World Health Organization, abortion is medically necessary in many such emergency cases. In situations like this, abortion is not a choice. It's a life-saving medical decision. 3. Example. Natural miscarriages versus abortion. Here's a fact most people overlook. 10–20% of pregnancies end in miscarriage naturally. That means nature itself ends millions of pregnancies every year. Logic. If every fertilized egg is considered a full human being, then miscarriages would mean that nature, or God, depending on one's belief, ends lives constantly. Reasonable conclusion. The beginning of human life is not as simple as conception. Biology is messy. Abortion is, in many ways, medically similar to what happens naturally in miscarriages. The difference is that one is a choice and the other isn't. 4. Example. Economic reality. A young woman becomes pregnant while unemployed and already caring for 2 children. She considers abortion because she cannot financially or emotionally raise another child. Fact. Studies, like the Turnaway study in the US, show that women denied abortions are more likely to fall into poverty, remain in abusive relationships, and struggle with long-term health. Logic. Raising a child requires food, shelter, healthcare, and stability. If those aren't present, forcing a birth can trap both the mother and the child in hardship. Here, abortion is not about rejecting life. It's about ensuring quality of life for existing family members. 5. Example. Rape or incest. A 14-year-old girl is raped and becomes pregnant. Should she be forced to carry the pregnancy? Fact. Pregnancy at that age is extremely risky, higher rates of complications and even death compared to adult women. Logic. Forcing a child to carry a child is not protection of life. It's the violation of 2. In cases like this, abortion is not only reasonable, it is an act of protection and compassion. 6. Science of viability. A fetus cannot survive outside the womb until about 24 weeks of pregnancy. Before that, its lungs, brain, and organs are not developed enough. Abortion laws in many countries reflect this. Early abortion is legal, late abortion is restricted except for emergencies. This is a logical compromise, protecting a woman's choice early in pregnancy and protecting potential life later when survival is possible. 7. The bigger logic. Banning abortion doesn't stop abortion. It only stops safe abortion. Fact. In countries where abortion is heavily restricted, like parts of Africa and Latin America, unsafe abortions are a leading cause of maternal deaths. Reasonable conclusion. If the goal is fewer abortions, the solution is not bans, but contraception, education, and support for women. 8. Where people can agree. Everyone wants fewer women to face unwanted pregnancies. Everyone wants safer healthcare. Everyone wants children to be born into stable, supportive families.